What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching a weekly Friday Market Watch video. My name's Kevin. We're here with Zach Stone. We're going to go over Lorcana news, meta trends, and card prices because today is the official launch of Whispers in the Well. We're finally at set 10. That's a 2 whole hands, my Lorcana Goons. We are entering a new format. We have new enchanted rares, legendaries, epic rares. We got to talk about even iconic rares. So if you like this content, like, comment, and subscribe if you're a Lorcana Goons community member, because it does support the channel, right? We're going to start off with the booster box prices because they're pretty cheap compared to the way Fabled was priced out. I'm assuming a lot of people got their allocations, unlike, the whole Fabled situation that happened last format, because today you're able to at least technically still pre-order the boxes at around 105 to 115. I'm going to say on average of $115. In person, you're probably going to end up paying anywhere from 120, maybe a little bit more, but that's still less than MSRP. So that's still pretty good in my opinion. But if you order them online on TCG Player, they're not going to ship till the 14th because we're still a week away. We're still 1 week away technically from the big box release. But you know where to get your boxes if you pre-order them and you've been supporting your local game store. Shout out you guys. That's really cool. But let's talk about the cards you can pull from your boxes, like the new iconic rares. We have the Ariel, Ethereal Voice, and the Hades Looking for a Deal. Oh, that's the wrong Hades. This is the Hades Looking for a Deal, the iconic rare. And if you don't know Lorcana too much yet, this is like your first set. The iconic rare is like the newest rarity. It's the max rarity of these cards. This is going to be really hard to pull, right, Zach Stone?
Yeah, these iconic rares are just more recently introduced. Fabled showed us the first two, the Mickey and the Minnie, and now we have Ariel and Hades. It is good to see different characters, becoming iconic. And honestly, the new boost mechanic here, I like how they just don't include like the text. It's kind of just boost one. However, this mechanic is interesting because on the other like non-foil, the original versions, those do include, in parentheses what the boost mechanic is. But yeah, prices right now are at $13.50, and well, seeing what the Mickey settled at, it's safe to say that these iconics can hold some value, and these are very playable.
Yeah, the Ariel listed lowest verified is $13.50, and the Hades lowest listed is around $1,400 by Pangea Gaming. No sales yet, granted, that's still the very first day, and we're also recording this Thursday night. That is because Friday morning, Zach Stone and I are going to be at Disneyland. We're going to be at Downtown Disney trying to get the Mulan promos alongside some extra Lorcana products so that we can open up packs and hopefully try and pull one of these iconic rares. I'm yet to open packs and open up an iconic rare. I've really only seen the iconic Mickey in person. And Zach Stone, you made a really good point about where the iconic Mickey was settling at. We actually have some sales on TCG Player as well as recently as last week for $1,500. One selling for $14.99, another one selling for $14.50, $14.40, and then $13.94 on Halloween. It's looking like it's kind of on the uptrend. Not too bad. Lowest listed right now is $1,500. So this is a Mickey Mouse Brave Little Prince. It's the most it's the most recent iconic rare. It's the first iconic rare, and you can get it in Fabled, right? But nobody's really playing this card, and I feel like everybody who's playing a purple deck is playing 4 copies of this Hades, right? In fact, I want to look at the legendary price for this Hades because I think this is a pretty good price right now. This is a pre-sale price. Technically, it's Thursday night, but the set's released. It's, I think, already in Europe technically because they're so far ahead in hours. So you can already kind of conclude on some of these pricings, and honestly, less than $30 for Hades Looking for a Deal, which feels like a card that I've seen everybody play 4 of right now in their decks. That seems really good when everybody was pricing Dumbos at $60. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, this price might not stay the same. I actually am curious, guys. So if you guys are watching this video, comment down below what you are looking at the price of this Hades Looking for a Deal, and what kind of deals do you think this card's going to be at? Because honestly, I feel like this is going to be one of the more important cards in this meta. I've been testing some purple decks, and honestly, every time I play this character, it just reads draw 2 cards. 9 times out of 10, I am not
Yeah.
getting to bottom deck anything. However, it doesn't always happen, right? I do sometimes play this character and I realize my opponent just put the card on the bottom of their deck, and I'm like, okay, that's fine too. This is not bad for a 5 drop. But the Hades looking for a deal being at $25, I think that's good enough of a deal for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And in fact, if I had what is this around $250 board games and beyond, they have 11 of them for you. That sounds like a deal if you ask me. I don't want to really go over the cold foil prices like we've been saying. We're recording this on Thursday night, so if you're watching this on Friday morning, be sure to comment down any price differences that you see, or if you guys were able to acquire any of these Thursday night deals. I actually really like looking at the prices on Thursday night because sometimes you can find some deals, or you can find some prices where I've felt like that's way too good to be true. Like when Clarabelle first came out, bro, I was buying Clarabelles at like $10. That was broken. I think Goliath Clan Leader isn't necessarily a card that I am confident in terms of like how expensive it's going to be, but $25 does not seem bad either right now, because I've been seeing a lot of blue steel decks run this card. At the end of each player's turn, if the player has more than 2 cards in their hand, they have to discard until they're left with 2, and if they have less than 2, you get to draw until you have 2. It's a very interesting card, and it counters a lot of Amethyst decks, because Amethyst decks, they love to draw. We love our second star to the right, our Finders Keepers. This Goliath is going to make sure that if this stays on the board, that hand size goes down to 2. I think it's really strong in Sapphire Steel, and Sapphire Steel feels like a tier 1 deck this meta, this like early, pre-Whispers meta.
I do like how this also allows your other gargoyle characters to just become more ready again, right? Because if you're discarding down to 2, that means the Stone by Day is not active. So this card, I believe, is going to be a very powerful tool in a lot of gargoyle decks. But we have Amethyst, Ruby, and Steel to choose from. What will be your 2?
Here's another card that I've been seeing a lot of hype around in the meta space, and it's a card that's priced fairly well in my opinion right now. Webby Vanderquack is another legendary in this set right now, currently priced at around $12.39. A lot of people have been saying this card is very strong. It's a very hard counter to the Sapphire strategy. Every time your opponent ramps with their Sapphire deck, this Webby Vanderquack is going to allow you to also ramp, and Emerald really isn't a color combo or a color that's known for being able to ink more than once per turn, right? So it's a very interesting card. I'm not sure how I quite feel about it, but hey, $12, not too shabby right now on this Thursday night pre-release for Whispers in the Well. I wonder what it's going to be like on Friday. Like I said, guys, if you guys are watching this Friday morning, please leave the prices down below for everybody, or let us know what you guys think of these prices as opposed to what they're at today. We have Demona, the Scourge of the Wyvern Clan. Now, this is a card that is on the pack art, which is pretty cool, and it's, I think, one of the most hyped legendaries of this set as well, next to the other Cinderella that we're going to go over soon. But the Demona, the Scourge of the Wyvern Clan, it's currently right now listed at $29, board games and beyond. I think this card's really good, but this is a card where I feel like you don't need to play 4 of in your deck, as opposed to maybe like Hades or Goliath. These cards, you kind of build a strategy around Goliath, and Hades just feels like a staple going forward in the meta. Demona is very strong, don't get me wrong, but I feel like you don't need to play 4 of this card. So I could see this card kind of coming down in price a little bit. I'm not too convinced that I would want to pay this much right now on a Demona, but it's first week of Lorcana. I wonder if there's any big tournaments happening. I wonder if Amethyst Sapphire is going to be the best deck still, or maybe even Sapphire Steel still.
Yeah, I think Demona is actually a very powerful card. I'm not saying you're wrong, Kevin, but as far as the playability, I think you're going to want to play 4. It's inkable. It's a very strong card when you get to play it on curve. And if your opponent isn't like respecting Demona in like a way where they're like not trying to like empty out some of their hand sizes and just like making sure that they're going to be able to get like a card off of your Demona, you're going to be able to capitalize very strongly, building your board simultaneously while emptying your hand. And if you're able to just slap a Demona as your last card, you're drawing 3, you're exerting their board, and you're taking over the game. So I actually think this card should be included as a 4 of, just because it's inkable. But a card that isn't inkable, and I also think you should be playing it as a 4 of, is Cinderella Dream Come True. So all of these legendaries that we've been talking about include their enchanted or iconic rare variants. So we do not want to talk about the cold foils because we don't think that this is going to be too much of a trend, or I don't think a shift upward is going to be dramatic with the cold foil versions of these legendaries. However, this card will definitely dictate the rest of the meta. I definitely think blue is in the best state it's ever been now with a card like this. This kind of
Yeah.
replaces the Hiram curve. This doesn't require you to have the item turn 1 to make Hiram good. You are simply just ramping on 2 like you always want to do. And instead of now a genie, you can play a Cinderella, and it counts herself because she is a princess. So, very good card. Is it going to stay $48, $50? I'm not too sure. I personally think that this will probably float around like a $42, $44 card early on, but we also have a worldwide release we want to make sure people are aware of, that if you're not in desperate need for these cards for any tournaments, you could benefit by waiting a couple weeks.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Prices go down in most cases for Lorcana and in most TCGs. after a couple of weeks, most of these prices do go down, with the exception of some cards. And I'll be real, most of this episode is going to be like speculation and opinion. And, I think Cinderella's a good card. Is it a card I want to play 4 of in my deck? It's uninkable, so I would just say no. That's the big difference between this and Flowersham. Flowersham was inkable, but this card's really good. This card is very strong. I really like it in Sapphire Emerald, especially in combination with Kita, the thinker, what's her name? The Sapphire Kita, 3/4 cost?
Creative Thinker.
Kita, Creative Thinker. I think that card's really cool because it's also a princess and it synergizes very well with this Cinderella. But, I'm not convinced, Duckstone, that this card is going to make every Sapphire deck amazing. But I think there are some decks that are gonna really benefit from this 4-cost curve. And I do want to go on record and say that I was wrong last time you predicted a meta breaking card when you said the big Sisu was gonna shape the meta. I said no, you're wrong, and you were right about that one. So we'll see what happens with this Cinderella. Good point, by the way. These have enchanted, so we're not gonna go super in depth about the enchanted rares on those, because usually the foil price and the non-foil price for those are very similar. But let's go over the epic rares. This set introduces some pretty cool epic rares that I think are staples going forward in the future of Lorcana. So, whether they're this price now, they'll probably go down, but I do think in the future, you're just going to want 4. And he hurled his Thunderbolt in your binder or in your, in your collection. Like, why not have 4 of this epic rare? The new Zeus, deal 4 damage, give a deity challenger +2. That's pretty good in my opinion. Right now, the epic rare is a little expensive, $23. The only one we have at this price is going to be the Aurora, the Royal Court Aurora, the Amber character. And that's a pretty good card. And I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of a staple than the Aurora, right? So right now, lowest verified around $23, $25. If it ever drops below $20, I would be excited for that. Sudden Scare. This is a very good card in my opinion in this set. A epic rare. It's around $15, and this is a good price in my opinion. If this ever hits $10, ooh, you best believe that's a card that I'm gonna want like 10 of them. I think this card's really strong, guys. I don't want to I can't stress that enough. This feels like an inkable Dragonfire. You put a chosen opposing character into that player's inkwell, and then that same player gets to put the top card of their deck into the inkwell. It sounds like really lame to do on turn 4, but you don't really want to do this on turn 4. Like, you do this in late game when inking doesn't matter anymore and your opponents run out of resources. This is just a one-shot removal, which is not very big in Lorcana right now.
Yeah, like first talking about this card, I was like, why would I want to give my opponent so much ink? But kind of realizing it, over the course of a couple turns, it's not going to matter. Like the first sudden scare might not be the most impactful one, but it's the second and the third one that like all this ink doesn't matter because I just don't have any characters on the board. So this card completely taking over the tempo at a 4-cost inkable action, I think is totally worth it as far as playability goes, which means the epic rares are probably going to have a decent price, but we'll see. I know a lot of people like to speculate a lot early on in this meta, and as far as speculations go, I think this Tinkerbell will definitely be speculative towards the higher price point. I'm not too sure if it's like Aurora holding court price point, in my opinion, that's probably the better one drop between the two. However, this is giving a lot of other Ruby decks some life. I know Rubiam was a deck that kind of took a lot of the first season by storm until later in the formats, but still always managed to make its way into the top cut. And we're starting to see that deck make its way back now since we have a one drop that's pretty strong. Honestly, an inkable 3/1 isn't bad. I think the design team was a little reluctant of making characters like this stat-wise, but I don't think it's a problem at all. Let us know down in the comments what you think.
I think it's about time. I think it's about time they give us these stronger vanilla characters because like we've been having to keep up with the power creeps. It's like set 2, bro. Like how are you gonna give us Madam M Fox and not give us other 3-cost characters to kill the Madam M Fox? You know what I mean? Madam M Fox was out here clearing 4 and 5-cost characters, and that was in set 2. So I think it's like a little too long to give us a 1-cost inkable 3/1. It's certain colors and certain colors, right? I do think they're changing the ink identity. I'm a huge Ruby Am enjoyer myself. I think the biggest difference is obviously there's no Be Prepared in this meta, so you really can't play Ruby Am the exact same way you were playing it. But you can play decks like Ruby Sapphire, and in Ruby Sapphire, you had no one cost game plan other than Popsicle, right? Or like you were not playing characters on turn 1. Maybe in Sapphire Amethyst you're playing Basil, and that's a 2/1. So I do think I agree with you, Zach, that this card brings like a lot of Ruby strategies back to life. You can play Ruby Steel. This is a Tinkerbell shift target, guys. It's actually pretty epic when you think about it. A $30 epic though, not sure yet because I don't know how confident I am in with Ruby being like a strong color in this new meta. But I love this card. I don't mind the price because I just want to play 4. I love the epic cards. I want to play 4 so much that this one I'm really excited for. The Elsa Exploring Unknown, $25 for a character that says when you play you draw a card. 3 cost, epic rare, not too bad. It's probably not going to make its way into most Amethyst decks, I don't think, for a while, but I think this card is really good. Do not sleep on this card, and a couple other epic rares in the set. So hopefully, especially Zeus. So I'm really curious to see where this card ends up in, because this alongside the Horseman Strikes is probably going to be some of the more like playable ones, right? But there's also some playable rares right now. These are the cards that I think are a little too overpriced. I don't think you should be paying $15 for a rare Spooky Sight, which is a great card in the meta, but you're definitely not playing 4 of this card in most Sapphire decks, right?
Yeah, it's a very strong card, and I do think it's like a necessary evil. But Be Prepared kind of went up to this price at one point, but it's settled closer to around like $7 to $8 for the longest time. So if this is the next Be Prepared, I think that's more of an appropriate price point, but maybe around $4 to $5. Again, a very powerful card. If you do pull this in any of your like packs, you are going to feel a little bit better. But in limited formats, I don't think this card is going to be good at all to pull. So if you're in your draft, you may not want to have this in like your final, finalized deck list. But however, this is just a very strong card. And if you ever are in need of singles and strong cards like this, I do implore you guys to visit me at Frankenstein's Collectible Show. That is open every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Kevin, where are you located at?
Yeah, we are at the Ninja Exchange in Carlsbad. That's in San Diego County. If you guys ever want to go, if you guys are in SoCal, you can come and visit us and pick up some Whispers in the Well, because it's the Whispers in the Well weekend. And we're going to be celebrating, we're going to be having tournaments. I personally am not like big on sealed play. I think it's really hard and kind of expensive to do like some sealed play tournaments. So I'm really excited to see what kind of decks people cook up, because on Monday we're going to do our Meta Watch video. Hopefully there's enough tournament reports and enough deck lists that do well tournaments, so we can cover those as well. So if you guys like all that stuff, remember to like, comment, and subscribe while you're here. But let's go over the Mowgli Man Cub Zach Stone, because this is a super rare that's selling for $7, right? So this is what's interesting about Lorcana. Rares tend to be higher priced than super rares. Now I've never understood that, and I'm just not going to question it, because hey, if I can get a $7 Mowgli as opposed to a $20 Mowgli, I'm down for that. Right now I have confidence that this card's going to be definitely meta relevant. $7 though, it'll probably be cheaper than this. I think one of the more expensive supers we have is like Daisy Duck, and that's a $7 one, right? And unless we know the meta, unless I like know exactly what meta I'm going into, I have no idea how many Mowglis I need to play in my deck, to be honest, because it's kind of going to be dependent on if people are playing this like super action heavy or location heavy meta. But if it ends up being like last format, where everybody's playing like 45 characters and then like only like 5 actions or something, then I probably won't play Mowgli.
Yeah, I want to go on record and say these are cold foils that are listed at $7 too, by the way. So maybe if you guys are actually, if these are still available when you're watching, maybe you should go ahead and pick those up. But yeah, those are $7 cold foils.
That is really good.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting cheaper.
Oh,
Those disappeared. That was breaking news
there
right
you go.
here.
Now there's five of them. Nat 20 Games,
There's five
GG.
of them by Nat 20 James GG. Yeah, I know that's a store in Vegas. So
Wow.
yeah, if you guys are in that area, maybe you guys want to check them out for some singles as well. But overall, this set is going to change the meta. We have some more cards that we do want to talk about right now, but this set's already looking to make a lot of waves. A lot of people are really talking about a lot of these cards we had on our screen earlier. So make sure you guys are really paying attention to these meta trends. Our Monday video is going to be pretty popping because there's some tournaments that are going to be playing with this set legal. So yeah, I'm hyped. Honestly, this also, there's another card that kind of mentioned the Daisy Duck Sapphire Champion. Just want to kind of say that like the market price is a lot higher than what people have them listed at now. It is just something to kind of keep in mind. Do not buy these pre-orders too early, guys. I think a lot of these singles tend to go down on release day on Friday, so you're better off waiting. I just don't see a reason to buy pre-orders, but this is kind of a reasonable price. But could it get cheaper? Who knows? This is just a rare at 87 cents, but could it go down to below 40, 50 cents? We'll see, right?
Yeah, these are the cards that I like to pay attention to, like on a Thursday night, because these are the ones that are more reasonably priced. So they've already like hit the price that they're probably gonna settle at, which is like 50 cents to $1 for some of these playable rares. I really like this card in Sapphire decks, by the way. I think it's so strong. It's like the new Cogsworth, and this 87 cents sounds pretty good. And you made a good point. Paying for the pre-orders a couple days ago, if you were paying $9, $10 each for this card, doesn't seem necessary. But if you're some of these sellers who waited till today to pay 99 cents for 3 of them, or 90 cents for one of them, that sounds pretty good. So instead of paying the $4 market price, so I'm pretty sure by the time you guys open your TCG player tomorrow, market price on this is going to be way different. But there are already some cards that are at these reasonable prices, right? This is going to be the Heralded Thunderbolt uncommon. So instead of the epic rare, if you want to get this card right now, you're going to have to pay $3. Now I also want to say, I think by tomorrow this is going to go down to at least maybe $2. I think the most we've seen for an uncommon has been around like $2-3, right? So that's that was like Tipo Flynn Rider era.
I actually want you to hit the refresh button right now. It's 9 o'clock, and I think pre-order prices are officially there's no longer going to have that little banner, I believe. Let's find out.
So? Oh, I'm on at the bottom. No, it still has it because it's on the 14th. Yeah, it still has it. Yeah, but it's just because it's the 14th still. It's not until I think it'll stay there all week. But yeah, I think
no, it says the 7th. It says the 7th.
Oh,
right?
this is the 7th. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think you're gonna be able to find this for a lot cheaper by tomorrow. Just want to say that's why I brought this card up on here. And then even if you're at your local game stores and anybody's cracking packs, I'm pretty sure most people are gonna have extra Heralded Thunderbolt. It is kind of hard to find certain uncommons in Lorcana. It can be a little annoying. But they put these to the side. They're gonna be maybe $1. I don't think they'll be $3 to $4. Same thing with Malicious, Mean, and Scary. There's another uncommon. This one is selling for way cheaper. This is $1.60 right now, and I think it'll probably settle at like $1 at most, right? And this card is easily changing the meta. Put 1 damage counter on each opposing character. This plus your Prince Philip and Sapphire Emerald is gonna be the reason why a lot of people rage in Lorcana this format, I think.
Yeah, it's a new board wipe, and Emerald is the class or color that has those tools now available. But they're like almost 2-card combos in a way. Like I know Under the Sea can be used as like a 1-card, and you can just shift the Prince Philip and not have a Malicious, Mean, and Scary if they have any other damage characters. Again, that's just kind of like the natural way the card goes. But something to kind of bring up is that this gets around resist, and I really kind of want to emphasize that like that's a very interesting mechanic, and being able to put damage on resist characters and then just getting rid of them is crazy. So you got to be careful if you're playing against Emerald. They have the board wipes now, and if they wanted to max rarity their cards, they certainly can with this enchanted rare. I really like this artwork, and honestly they're killing it with this enchanted artwork of the set. Honestly, like if you can, going between the artworks, like they go from like being like kind of just like there, like kind of like looking at you menacingly, to just like Hook's hand is just singing, right? Like he's got some musical tones coming out, and you can see those glimmers. I love the attention to detail. So honestly, Marco Wolfer, you're an amazing artist. This is excellent. I love it.
But yeah, they're staring at you here, and then they're staring at you here in 4K with some extra glimmers here. I like it though. It's pretty cool. The fact that they're giving us playable enchanted rares though, I think is like really important going forward. Not assuming there's not that many board wipes, this is gonna be like the grab your swords, and if it's an enchanted rare, I think it's gonna be pretty up there, pretty sought after. Right now, lowest verified is 245, and we'll see where that settles at tomorrow. But there's a couple other hits you might want to be looking out for, like the Can't Hold It Back Anymore. This is the Elsa enchanted of the set, so you best bet it's gonna have that Elsa tax that Lorcana's known for. Into the Unknown is expensive right now too. That one has been settled at more than $300, and this one is starting at least 350. No sales yet. We'll see where it's at, but I'm not going to be surprised if this one sells for 300. This card is not as playable though as Into the Unknown. This card, in my opinion, is not that good, but we did get to reveal it, which is really cool. So huge shout out to Disney Lorcana and Team Ravensburger for letting us do that. But I'm excited to have another Elsa enchanted in the card pool, because this is going to be collectible for all those Lorcana Illumineers who want to collect the princesses or Elsa in general. And if you want to collect the princesses, you're gonna have to collect the Cinderella Dream Come True enchanted. I think this is the most hyped card of the set, legendary enchanted wise, like period. And people are already kind of saying this card deserves a ban, which I just completely disagree. I don't think this card's that good, by the way. Right, Zach. Yeah, just don't go on Twitter if you don't want to be rage baited. But $700, $700 is the asking price right now with 6 listed.
I also want to go on record. I was able to look at some eBay sales not too long ago. $500 confirmed sale, by the way. Just want to go ahead and make that. Yeah. No, this is just kind of something that I did do my due diligence, not necessarily even before the market watch. I actually just happened to look this up right before, and yeah, so there is sales for around $500 for this card. I do expect it to settle closer to the $400 range. So I honestly think if you're getting to pay $400 or less for this enchanted, you are doing pretty good early on. You are obviously better off waiting longer. Like the longer you wait, there's like least resistance there for it to kind of like go back up. But honestly, just consider that there is a pre-release and a worldwide release. So these enchanteds, they will be more in the market. But yeah, as Kevin just has it right now, a $459 sale confirmed
two
on the Dream. Yeah,
two of them.
One today, one yesterday.
Wow.
And again, it's going down. So again, $400. If you pay $400 or less, you're doing really good, right?
Yeah, and Dumbo kind of stuck around 400 for the first like month or so. And as the format progressed, it settled at around like 300-ish, a little bit more. Right now it's like at 315, and people are taking Dumbos out their decks, so I'm not going to be surprised when Dumbo kind of falls to 250. So it just depends. Do you want the card now for your decks? Are you trying to play max rarity ramp Cinderella combo, or are you just trying to get it for your collection? If you're just trying to get it for your collection, maybe wait a little bit, see how the meta pans out, and see how many people really want 4 copies of this card in your deck, and then you can make the decision. Instead of having to pay $700 on TCG Player, I'm sure you can find them for a little bit cheaper if you go support your local game stores, right? But good luck if you guys do support your local game stores. You guys are going to open any packs. You guys have any tournaments this weekend? Wish you all the luck, and be sure to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for more, because we're going to be making these videos every Friday, Market Watch, and every Monday, our Meta Watch, and sometimes videos in between, right, Zach?
There is a lot of important things to kind of go over throughout the week. A lot of news too. I know we had the lore cast earlier today that talked about some DLC news for Richmond, and we got our side events. But we'll go over more of that also on the Monday video.
They mentioned they're gonna prize out the Simba prize card to the top couple.
Yes, no, they're listening. Something that I kind of have a little confliction with. If they're always going to be like responding to what the community wants, I don't know how I feel about that. I would hope that I do like what they're doing. There are going to be more of these promo cards given out, but the amount of invites, however, will not change. I do want that to kind of be more made apparent. However, that means if you do not make top 32 as the next 2, you are going to get your Elsa. And same thing as a top 64. If you are an X3 and you do not have you have the same points but you do not make it in the top 64, you are going to get that Simba. And who knows, like let's say the threshold is a lot smaller, let's say X21s are somewhere in like the top 64, you never know. Same thing applies there, right? You have to just kind of consider that wherever the top 64 ends, that's who's going to be prized out in the equivalent of the record. Same thing how it was last season.
Yeah, so if you played the DLC, whether Bologna or Milwaukee, and you ended up with the same record as somebody who ended up in top 64 and you did not get awarded your foil Simba, keep an eye out for your email because they said they're going to be reaching out to award you this foil Simba, which on Halloween sold for at least $1,000. And you know what that means, Zach Stone? That means that the last round I lost at Milwaukee was at least like $1,000 match that I lost. And that makes me feel that makes me feel just a little bit bad.
Sailor.
Kudos to Sailor. Yeah,
honestly,
shout out Sailor.
You have to really play a lot of really good players on to get past these DLCs, guys. And honestly, I'm excited now with Friday side events and a lot different of a prize structure. I do want you to kind of do your own research and due diligence. It's on pastimesevents.com on their Discord channel, but the website has a lot more in detail about that. We'll actually have it linked down below as well, so we'll make sure you guys have access to that as well. And honestly, good luck to everybody going to their pre-release weekends, going to have fun, cracking their pre-orders. I know that there's a couple stores doing midnight releases, so I'm excited to see all those polls. Make sure you guys are in our Discord server, dropping down what you guys are opening up in some of our channels, and then a lot of people are brewing up some spicy lists, so drop your decks down in the deck list discussion too.
And if you like this content, remember to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for more, and we'll see you Goons next time.